Hi all, my name is Bhushan Kumar. In previous tutorial, we had seen dependency injection in Java with a complex example. This tutorial is a continuation of the previous one. In this, we will see how Spring helps us to inject the dependencies and reduce the burden of the developer. Okay, so let me just quickly go through the previous code. So we had seen here there was a triangle class, and triangle class was dependent on point classes, right? So point 1, point B, point C, and it was the developer's duty to instantiate all these objects and set the values for each member variable, right? And then injecting the dependencies. So developer was doing was instantiating the object, setting up the member variables value, and then injecting the dependencies, right? So here Spring comes into picture as a savior. Okay, so this is a kind of complex, little complex example we had seen. The complexity could be more. Okay, there could be many more dependencies, and it would be difficult for a developer to manage all those dependencies, right? So Spring, so here we see two things. Okay, the first thing is instantiation of classes, right? And then second one is injecting the dependencies, right? So Spring tries to solve these two problems. As we discussed earlier, Spring takes the control from us and does the class instantiation on behalf of us. Okay, and manages the life cycle of the objects. So this process is called inversion of the control. See, the control which developer had to instantiate the object has been taken up by the Spring. Okay, so that is the reason we call it as inversion of control. Control has been reverted. Okay, inverted. And the second one is the dependency injection. So we were kind of setting the injecting the dependencies with the help of the setters. Now Spring will do with an easier way. Okay, so let us quickly go and see how Spring does this. Okay, so we have a drawing application class. We will try to create another application class called drawing application Spring, right? None of the classes will change. All classes would be intact. We'll see how this complexity of instantiation and then passing of the dependencies in Java is solved by the Spring. So let's quickly do it. Okay, we will ask Spring. So as we discussed earlier, Spring is a container. It's a factory, right? Which gives bean as an object, right? So we will call the bean factory. So there are many. Bean factory is an interface. There are many implementation of this bean factory. Okay, so there is a popular implementation called XML bean factory. Okay, so we have asked the XML bean factory to give us a give us an object of the bin factory. Okay. Okay. So here bin factory expects us a Spring configuration file. So we'll just give a Spring configuration file. We give a new file system resource, and I have created a template of this Spring configuration XML. This one. So we'll give the relative path of this file here. Okay. So we've got an object of the bin factory. Now this bin factory will give us the object, will give us the beans. How? Let's see. So bean factory dot get bean, and which bean will ask, will pass this name into Spring configuration file. Okay. So we were kind of trying to get the object of triangle, right? So let's get the object of triangle, this one, and probably this is asking us to cast it. We've got object as a in return. We'll cast it as a triangle. Okay, so we've got a triangle object. How we've got the triangle object? We've got it from the bean factory, from the get bean method, right? So let's go to triangle. Okay, and we see like 3 points are there inside it, right? So let's go to Spring class. We have to define a bean, triangle bean. Okay, so this is a bean, and let's give the ID of this triangle bean as triangle, and then class uh, the path of the class triangle. So let's go to the triangle class and copy path. Right. So okay, we have to your package, the package name, copy reference, and then put it here. Okay, so we've got the class name of this, the class name of triangle with the package name. Now we'll okay, so let's go to triangle. In triangle we have 3 points, right? Point A, point B, and point C. So let's define the properties of each point. Property name is equal to mind it, this name should be same. Okay, so the point A, point B, and point C, these names should be the same. So came here and let it refer it to a point bin. So we'll say the first point. Okay, so let's do it this way, it look good. And then similarly do for other points. So this is a second point, and this is the third point. Okay, now we have to create another beans for point A, point B, and point C, right? So let's create another bean. First point, we have to give the class path of this. So let's go to the point and then copy the path, and in this bean will, okay, so if we go to the point class, we have two member variables x and y, so we'll try to assign these values of these variables here. So we'll say a property tag name equals x, and then value equals, let's take an example of 0, right? For okay, so similarly let's do for y as well, right? So you see we have created a bean for the first point and assigned the values for two member variables. Similarly we'll do for second point, and then let's give the values as 1 1, and finally for the third point let's give the values as 2 and 2. Okay, so instead of we instantiating the objects, we have given the configuration into a Spring configuration file, right? This is an XML file. Now let's go to triangle, drawing application Spring. So we have triangle object here. How to get this bean? By the name of this bean, okay, by the ID of this bean. So we've got this triangle object here. Now okay, so let's change it to shape. So we'll get the triangle object with the help of interface, and then as we know, in our interface we have a draw method. So let's draw it. Now let's quickly run it. You see it says source resources spring.xml does not found. Let's see what's the path we have given. Source, okay, so we're missing one more thing. Source main resources, and then yeah, so it should be fine. Let's run it. Now we see the similar output we've got through Spring way. Okay, so let's conclude what we have done till now. Earlier through Java, it was the developer who was instantiating the object and then passing the dependencies or injecting the dependencies. Here Spring is instantiating the object. Do you see we have ever initiated this triangle or point? No, we have just given the configuration file. It is the Spring who will instantiate these objects and then maintain their life cycle. Also it is the Spring which will be passing the dependencies at the runtime. It is not us who will be passing the dependencies. So we are just giving the configuration this Spring file. So all this happened during the runtime. Hopefully I was able to explain this dependency injection and inversion of control in Spring. Thank you all.